And you guys.
And hello there. Welcome to the Carr Brothers Show, episode 98, December the 6th, 2023. I'm Jack.
And I'm Jody. And we're really pleased that you're with us tonight for the Carr Brothers Show live on CHCO and Facebook Live and lots of other places out there where it's being shared.
Where it's being shared.
It's great, Jack. What's on the show for tonight, Jack?
Oh, well,
I know it's cold out there, but boys, we got a hot show tonight.
Yes, and Jeff actually lined this up with Tom Liston. Jeff couldn't be here, by the way, because he sends his regrets. He had a prior commitment, of course, like you said, Jody, it's Christmas season and you had the Christmas public events that you go to and expected to be to. So
serving the public.
Yes, so he had to be at an event, so we couldn't be here tonight. But he helped invite and line up Tom Liston. No stranger to New Brunswick. Grew up and raised here in New Brunswick, and he's also with... This is very fascinating. I'm just sort of starting to hear about this the last couple of months, but
me too.
Everyone has their own sort of journey when they discover this excellent project as the world's oldest basketball court in St. Stephen, New Brunswick. And Tom Liston is a part of this group, the committee that's looking and working hard to be able to build a brand new center around the world's oldest basketball court.
The Canadian Basketball Experience Museum, wow, they're calling it. And I note the word experience, so we're going to ask Tom about that. What does that mean, and what does it mean for St. Stephen, New Brunswick, and for all of Canada and internationally as well? It's quite amazing. There's been lots of movement on this, and
let's ask him now.
Tom is going to join us here. Tom is actually joining us from on Zoom from Toronto live, and we're really pleased to have you on the show tonight, Tom. Welcome to the Carr Brothers Show.
Hey, thank you so much. A real pleasure to join you. And maybe an extra thank you for putting me right behind Steve Murphy, who has the perfect voice and the perfect TV presence. And I had to follow that up. So a little extra hurdle, I guess, for me tonight.
Awesome. It's great that you're able to join us with your busy schedule and tell us about this project and how it came to be and how you fit into the picture of this committee and this project.
No, it's a great story with obviously it's in New Brunswick, but there's deep New Brunswick connection. So I live in Toronto, grew up in Fredericton, and we're fortunate to have a place in St. Andrews that we get to as much as possible. And of course, during COVID, the people became schooled from home, and we were lucky enough to travel to New Brunswick the first sign of COVID, and when it's just before it started to really lock down. So we ended up being in New Brunswick for a number of months over the two cycles, I guess, of peaks of COVID. And there was no better place to be in New Brunswick, and in Charlotte County, there was really just zero cases there. So we did get to I did spend some time with Kathy McCain, who was on the UMB Board of Governors, and I got to know her, and she introduced me to David Ganong, and everybody, of course, knows David Ganong. And Kathy said, listen, I know someone that really knows a lot about basketball, is really passionate about it, and he's a New Brunswicker as well. And frankly, David, it was a real honor to meet David. If you go into the Brunswick faculty, UMB Faculty of Management, you see his name on the wall. He's one of a cherished alumni, and certainly I've admired him as an entrepreneur over the years. So anyway, it took us about 2 minutes of talking before I decided to really deeply get involved. Of course, we were in St. Andrews, and just 20 minutes away is St. Stephen, where they found out. I heard about it before, but I don't think I knew the full history and story. So I got to actually visit it and touch the floor and walk on it. And it really does just give you chills. Like, you walk through that, and I encourage you both to do so. We've had a number of people walk through from Team Canada, from ex-NBA players to Raptors analysts and what have you, come through the court. And it's just a really incredibly and special experience. So my family and I really got behind this project in a financial way, but more importantly, maybe a time commitment. So I'm trying to, spend as much time as I possible to get this into more than just, as you point out, more than the museum. It's really an experience center, and we have a lot of exciting developments over the last couple of months. And in talking to Jeff and others, we've really brought this to the national stage. We've been on the front page of the Globe and Mail, front page of the Globe and Mail. And we've been on national news, I think, 3 times now over the last number of months. So it's not just a New Brunswick story, though we're proud to own it, and we're going to own it, and we're going to be proud of it. but it resonates across Canada, and that's something I'm super excited about. And that'll tell you that people from across the nation and from New England will come up and visit this, and that'll be something we'll be proud to show off.
So where do we begin on this? Like, how did this start? How was it discovered? What is the history of the oldest basketball court in the world?
Yeah, it's a great story. So, and there's some imagery that is pretty easy to look up. But if you look up Dr. Naismith, who invented the game, he's from obviously invented the game in Springfield, Massachusetts, at the college there. And if you look at the history, he has the first basketball team, and that was really his students that he taught. And there's about 8 students, and right in front of him was a gentleman named Lyman Archibald. And Lyman Archibald ended up taking the game and what he learned to St. Stephen, New Brunswick in 1893. The game was invented in 1891. And there's about 8 or 9 students, I think, in that picture. I think it was 9 students in that picture. And they took it all over the world. One took it to Paris, France, to the YMCA there. One took it to Ottawa. One took it to Kansas. And obviously the first court would have been that court that they used in Springfield, but that actually burned down about 100 years ago and is now a McDonald's. I actually visited that parking lot of where it was going to be. So fast forward, and I'll fill in some of the gaps, but there's only 2 existing of these old courts. One's in Paris, France, and one's in St. Stephen, New Brunswick. And a number of years ago, there was a fire, and I think most people in St. Stephen knew there was a YMCA there, but they didn't know much about the history. And then a fire helped uncover this floor and got the folks in St. Stephen to spend some time to really do some further research on what this was all about. And they thought perhaps it might have been Canada's first basketball court. They did find out it was the first international game. And what they slowly uncovered over 2 years is this is of the existing courts, this is the first court. So that's the oldest in the world. So that was a pretty exciting discovery. And then over the last year and a half plus, we've been forwarding that story and really putting the pieces together, including visiting Springfield College. They're very excited about it. We visited Naismith World Hall of Fame in Springfield as well, and they're happy to partner with us as well. And they're really excited that there's direct connection between Dr. Naismith and Lyman Archibald.
Yeah. So Archibald, what brought him to St. Stephen?
I don't know directly, but every one of Dr. Naismith's students went to YMCAs around the world.
Okay.
And it was really a YMCA training ground, Springfield College was. I just learned that in my recent trip. So he's from Truro, Nova Scotia. So maybe on his way back, somehow he got stopped at the border there and felt that St. Stephen YMCA worked for him. But he became the general secretary, and he brought the rules and played a game. There's a documented game in the Courier there from St. Stephen about the first international game in 1893.
And he was the general director of the YMCA in St. Stephen itself?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
So then he developed, and then how did you come about finding that this court was here in St. Stephen?
Well, they knew a little bit about the YMCA there, but I think the fire started to pique their interest. And Darren McCabe, a historian, and we had some other people work through all. The good news is, and John LaRue, you may know from the Beer Book Art Gallery,
yes.
He's joined our board as well. And he has a quote saying, "Hey, if anything happened in 1893, it was in the newspaper. If someone walked the wrong way down the street, it was in the newspaper." And the evidence and the documentation is fantastic. So we spent 2 years, and we recently did some updates, just going through the microfiche, going article by article. So now we have every little piece of how it happened, when the game was played, and it's all documented there thanks to the St. Croix Courier.
Well, that's
been fantastic.
It is fantastic to have that documented and to be able to prove that St. Stephen, New Brunswick is home to the world's oldest basketball court. That's phenomenal. And in this project of raising money to be able to create this basketball experience and the Canadian Hall of Fame as well, will the Canadian Basketball Hall of Fame be right?
This is exciting. There's many exciting components of this, but it's one thing. People do have this really, especially big basketball fans, but other people too. Just if you have a sense of history, it's like directly from Naismith, right? So people are excited to see the court, but you want more than that. You want, whether you're 5 years old or 85 years old, to experience this and have have excitement to come back. So a couple of things. We were fortunate to have a great relationship with Canada Basketball, the CEO, Michael Bartlett, and they envisioned 3 nodes to their Hall of Fame. So there's no physical Canada Basketball Hall of Fame. You can't walk in and see Diane Norman from Fredericton and Joyce Slip from Fredericton and all our proud New Brunswickers that made the Hall of Fame. You can't walk in and see their jerseys and see their picture on the wall. So they induct people, but obviously they don't have anywhere to display it. So they're, and the Raptors, when they won the championship, taught us that really this country from coast to coast gets excited about basketball, right? And there was parties at, the Pickeroons in Fredericton that was, a few thousand deep and whatever. So Michael Bartlett actually came from MLSE, came from the Raptors organization. He said, listen, we should actually make this 3 nodes to a Hall of Fame. So they're working on a performance center for the Team Canada athletes in the Toronto area, and they'll put a wing of the Hall of Fame there.
Okay.
And then they'll put one in Vancouver and then one in Great St. Stephen, New Brunswick.
Coast to coast.
So we'll be these coast, yes. And so much of it, there'll be artifacts. And frankly, the Naismith Hall of Fame in Springfield said we have 45,000 artifacts in storage. We have 1,900 on display, and we have 45,000 in storage. I'm sure there's a few Steve Nash shoes and jerseys we can borrow, right? And so much of it's virtual as well. Like we're working with Rogers Sportsnet and TSN to we've had some of the broadcasters actually visit the court and how do we do use those images and those videos and stuff to do, you can have a broadcast and do the play-by-play with, Steve Nash in a game-winning shot or whatever it might be. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do virtually and digitally with the court with the help and endorsement of Basketball Canada.
Well, that's great. And so what's the timelines? Where we come from? Where we at? Where's the thermometer? And how much more do you have to raise? And what's the next steps?
Yes.
Where are we at with everything and where are we going?
Yeah, fantastic. No, it's a perfect time to kind of do this interview because we're right at the start of what we call phase 2. So phase 1 was to raise, it happened to be 1.1 million. And that, thankfully, it wasn't in Toronto, but 1 million can buy 3 buildings in St. Stephen, New Brunswick.
Yes.
Two buildings you'll kind of see in the imagery. You can almost see in the background there. But there, and then we bought a 3rd building that we had to create some more space. And of course, you had to have elevator access and wheelchair access and all that good stuff. It was also to create more space as well. But to put those elevators, you can't really put those elevators in those old buildings and redo it. So we had the 3 buildings purchased. We've demolished the 3rd one to create that nice, beautiful glass and steel beam structure you can see there. Mm-hmm. And so that was a 1.1, and that was what was great. We raised 1.1 million with almost no government support. Well, we'll need government support eventually, but it's all individuals in the Maritimes. It's the Irvings, 3 different Irvings. It's the McCains. My family donated a fair bit, and people in St. Stephen. We just all from personal donations to get the 1.1. So that allowed us to buy the buildings and do the renderings that you kind of see in the background from Cambridge 7. And Cambridge 7, we were very fortunate. Again, John LaRue had a bit of relationship there. And if you look at architects and design firms to do any type of sports type interactive facility, whether it's the Naismith Hall of Fame in Springfield, which they just did a refurbishment on, or whether it's the 49ers Hall of Fame Museum, or it's a Boston Bruins 100-year anniversary circle for hockey. They've done all these amazing displays, and I don't even know who number 2 is. They're number 1, and number 2 is who knows.
Yeah, page 10 of the Google.
We're actually at a point, like obviously we're paying them, but they can pick their projects, and because of the proximity to Cambridge, Massachusetts, Boston area, and the work on the Springfield Museum, I think there was a lot of kind of synergy with that, and we were just so fortunate, and we were just thrilled. So we're taking these new designs. We've also taken a case for support, and I can run you through a little bit of. It's more than just having someone walk through and see the court and see the Hall of Fame and see these interactive museums. We're working on national 3-on-3 tournament concepts to host in St. Stephen, maybe in the Garcelon parking lot, maybe in the arena. We're working on securing a court to put in the Garcelon arena over the over the ice surface there. We're talking to Team Canada members as we speak to fly them in to mentor some of the kids in the area. So we're targeting youth and youth at risk and having tournaments and making it kind of a catalyst for all this. We're working with the Maritime Women's Basketball Association on a couple interesting things that we might be able to pull off here soon to cross promote each other. So it's bigger than that. So right now we've accomplished that. We've got the drawings. So when we talk about naming rights with corporate sponsors or whatever we have, they can visualize every room. It's and then that's really powerful, obviously, to say, here's where my naming rights are going to be. So, we're looking for government support as well. We're looking for about a third provincial government, about a third federal government, and a third from corporate and private donations. And we're just starting that campaign as we speak. We got the case for support. We have these beautiful, so we're ready to go. The good news is we have, everyone from Frank McKenna's been supportive from day one, and not only donated money, but he's donated his kind of Rolodex to us.
Yes.
And having the Irvings, McCains, and lots of support locally. We feel the ability to execute on this is very high. So we're pretty excited about where we're at.
Good. Now, having David Ganong as well, do you have a chair of the fundraising campaign, or?
Yes, so he's going to chair the campaign, and we may add a co-chair actually alongside that, the honorary cabinet. And we've had, I've just done this over the last number of weeks, but we have Lisa Tomaitis, who was head coach of the women's basketball team for 12 years, who's visited the court a couple of years and come to our charity tournament, and happy to be in the cabinet. We have Miranda Aham, who was a flag bearer for the 2020 Olympics and a 12-year vet. We have Dr. Sherry Bradish, who's done remarkable work about women in sport. We have just name after name. Michael Bartlett, the CEO of Canada Basketball, is on our honorary cabinet. So a number of people in the field. Paul Jones, who's an announcer on Sportsnet. Like, we have a lot of great people that have played for Team Canada, but we also have some great financial business minds as well. So again, we've also have people from coast to coast, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
So
Now, there was some timeline there, like 2, 3, 4 years. Do you see that? Is there a plan to open the facility in phases or stages? Can people in the public start visiting now, let's say, or is there some? Can we get in right away?
Yes, so I'll say there's 2 stages. There's probably a cutoff where it gets dangerous to walk through because they're doing some other construction. But we created this charity golf tournament called the Archie.
Oh, yes. We saw that. We saw that on Facebook, and yes,
right. So it's a little play on Archibald's name, of course, and it made a little more hip, I guess, for the young people. But anyways, we flew in everybody from Jack Armstrong, who's a famous TV announcer for the Raptors, and Tony LaPage from Fredericton and Broadway superstar. Yeah. Matt Stairs we had last year. We had a former NBA champ, Jaren Jackson Sr., and he's brought his championship ring all the way from Los Angeles to St. Stephen, New Brunswick. So we've had people from kind of coast to coast, a couple people from Saskatchewan fly in. It is a charity golf tournament. It's really about bringing people in and seeing the court and helping evangelize the court. So that's been really exciting. So people can tour it now and see the original court. And then at some point, obviously, we'll have to cut off where there's more proper construction. But every year we invite people in, and we'll have school teams come in. We'll have the WNBA teams, the NMWNBA teams come in and see the court. So we tour the court with lots of folks now, and it's great. They really do have this reaction when they walk in.
So you have staff. Does the organization have staff people on location?
We are, it's great. We have over 18 volunteers that put a lot of time into this. Wow. And we have one paid admin assistant, but we're all David Ganong works. I talk to David Ganong probably daily about, different opportunities of where we're going to go and target these folks. Right. So we have a lot of people from St. Stephen, through to Toronto, just working on this, as much as we can to do this. But we're all happy to give the tour. John LaRue would always give the tour during the Archie, and obviously he's written probably 20 historic books on architecture. So there's no better person to give a tour on what this all means and where this came from and why they did this design in the room. So we host people all the time. We've had MPs from Hamilton that have just heard about it and they do their retreat in St. Andrews and they want to go see it.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Jeff mentioned it to me and I wanted to know more about it. And Tom, you sent us the clips, the information. I'm excited.
And then, like you said, is the opportunity, the the benefit of having that front page story on the Globe and Mail as well, Tom. That you just must have been ecstatic, because that, to pay for that, I don't know what that translates to. The Department of Tourism people know what that translates to, but that's a significant boost for the cause.
Yeah, and for David Ganong always to be promoting St. Stephen and New Brunswick through the Ganong chocolate in the past. This must just warm his heart to see something else that can grab people to come to St. Stephen.
It's been great, and it warms my heart to see that everyone across Canada cares. We did the story over Christmas a year and a bit ago, or sorry, almost 2 years ago, and it kept getting pushed on the Globe and Mail. We're like, oh man, they're not going to run the story. It just keeps getting pushed. And I thought, if we could just get on page 6 of the sports section, we'd be excited. It kept being pushed because they put it on the front page, and then you open the middle spread. So I had to buy. You can't get the Globe and Mail in New Brunswick anymore. So I haven't bought 24 copies at the local store. I bought everything they had, and they had the middle spread with all the color pictures of all of the port.
Oh wow,
it was outstanding. So it probably almost launched us too early in a way, but it's been great. And all the volunteers, we're all just we're all doing this for New Brunswick, and we're all doing it for the tourism and exciting. We're all super proud New Brunswickers. I keep saying, wherever I go home, I go home to New Brunswick, right?
Yeah.
And we're excited about the tourism because St. Stephen, as you know, is a gateway to New Brunswick. If you're coming from Boston, and there's rabid fans throughout that corridor in New England for basketball. People have messaged us already. Can we come up to see the court? Cool. We're like, well, you can. It's not really kind of ready, but you can absolutely stand on it and whatever. And we think that can be. We want to add another day or two to everybody's trip in New Brunswick.
Yeah,
and
stays.
Let's not drive. David Miles says the drive-through province. New Brunswick was put on the map during COVID on people starting to visit or buy homes here and say, this is a special place to be. And James Mollinger will always remind us how special New Brunswick is. And now we have this kind of gem that no one else has in the world. It's the first and only. There's only one oldest court. There's not two. There's one oldest court.
That's right.
We have it, and it's a gateway to New Brunswick. So we think we can drive some tourism dollars from the U.S. and from Halifax and beyond.
How large is these couple of phases of the project? How much are you looking to raise?
Yeah, so this phase 2 will be 18 million, and we put quite significant contingencies because, as you both well know, most projects have been over lately. So we've not only been current on our estimates of what current market bears, but we built in a lot of contingencies for potentially additional. Hopefully, the inflation abates a little bit here, but we did put in a lot of contingencies for that. So because you can't go back to people, right? We pride ourselves in both our economic model, what this is going to bring to the province, and a return on equity. We want to be a very positive force in New Brunswick economy. We don't want to be asking for money. And secondly, when we built this, we put in a lot of contingencies. So we wanted to be on. We're all mainly business folks doing this, which is great. So we all know what budgets look like. We all know how to make sure that we come in on budget and execute well. So
there's future costs as well, right? So
100%. So you don't want to go back to anyone. You want to know that, hey, if I donate this much money today, it's going to get done, and that's what we're proving.
Well, Jack, always, I'm sure you're wondering too, but how do people get in touch with your organization, with you, Tom, with the basketball, with the association, your incorporation, to get involved, to donate, to participate? How do we get in touch?
A couple things. We want to continue to grow our team. Like, we're all working hard at this, and things like the RT or these 3-on-3 tournaments will need a lot of volunteers. So we've been lucky. A lot of people have approached us to join the team and volunteer, and they're as excited as we are to move it forward. But the world's oldest basketballcourt.com has almost any information you need. It has everything from our board of directors to recent media interviews to more information about the court, to original donors, information about the Archie Golf Tournament. That's going to continue to expand to be much more than a golf tournament. And they can donate there as well. So they can donate through Sport New Brunswick or the town of St. Stephen to the court as well. But and David, I'm pretty sure the contact info for both David and I are on the site as well. If not, I'm sure they can find us pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If you want to donate money, we're pretty quick to answer the phone.
What would be, if there's anything, we've only got a few minutes, but if there's anything that's a hurdle, one of your biggest needs right now, what would that be?
I think it's just, it's more just tactically moving forward on all three funding areas at the same time.
Right.
So the biggest one is probably just extra corporate and or philanthropic donors that, right, that those introductions. We have a lot of those introductions. We've had a lot of conversations, but now we're going to bring in the cases of support and the documents showing the potential naming rights opportunities and the rest of it. But any relationships, including we've got some great relationships in the provincial government, federal government as well. But we want to have everybody rowing this boat at the same time, because everybody else wants to see the support from everybody else.
Right.
Obviously, we got a great basis support, but it's that extra support. So yeah, and some of it could be just as simple as, hey, helping us volunteer run this 3-on-3 tournament and whatever it might be, right? So there's no shortage of opportunities to help on this project. It's a big one.
Yeah. Well, it's great, Tom, to see you, a fellow New Brunswicker, engaged and connected with building New Brunswick still. And with technology nowadays, you're pretty much right here in our studio, in our living room, in our basketball court every day. So it's great to see you this engaged.
Well, thank you so much. These interviews go a long way in educating people how incredible this asset is. So we really appreciate you having me on.
Well, it's excellent. Anything else you'd like to add in the next 30 seconds?
No, I encourage people to come down and see it. And we do have this, we call it the RG. It's a charity golf tournament, but we're extending it we're going to have some 3-on-3 tournament. We're going to have lots of involvement of these coaches that come from Toronto and Saskatchewan in the community. So you get world-class coaching coming to St. Stephen to mentor coaches, but also these girls, right? So we stay tuned. There'll be some pretty interesting announcements over the coming weeks for that tournament in August.
That's great. And also, final parting, please give our best to David Ganong, who's a great ambassador for New Brunswick and a great friend of the Carr brothers as well. And we, like you, really respect his contribution to New Brunswick and continued contribution.
And it's just a great story, Tom, and to the rest of the committee working so hard on this for good news and something, to contribute to our positive environment and our positive province that we have.
That's right.
A lot of great things happening because of people like you, Tom, and all the people that are involved with this, and hopefully more to come as well to stay involved. So, Joe, I guess we'll have to wrap up there. And Tom, thank you very much for being a part of this.
Yeah. Until next time, thank you for watching the Carr Brothers and CHCO Facebook Live.
Great.
See you next week.
Have a good night.